Hi there, Facebook. I'm back. Skip Bayless coming to you live from the west side of Los Angeles, about a mile from the Fox movie lot, where we do Undisputed every weekday morning from 9:30 to noon Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. We will be there tomorrow. Hope to see you there tomorrow. But right now, I got a lot to get off my chest about Tom Brady and the heavy dollars being bet on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to tell you my theory for that. But as you're settling in, quick cameo from the daughter of my wife, Ernestine, and I. We don't have any real kids, but we do have a Maltese by the name of Hazel, who's a year and 2 months old at this point. She's sort of a teenager, rebellious, difficult on Ernestine. She just runs over Ernestine. Ernestine's never had a child or a dog. I've had lots of dogs. Hazel's my buddy. She's Ernestine's daughter. Here she is right now. I got her under my arm. She's getting heavy. Hi, Hazel. Hi, how are you? Look, there's Facebook. Look at Facebook. Hi. Say hi. You want to clean my nose? Nope, you're not into it. I just woke her up. She was napping. Say hi to Facebook. Hi. Hi. That's a good girl. You're kind of out of it, aren't you? So right now, Hazel's mom, Ernestine, is out. It's just the two of us. So I'm going to put Hazel down right now. She's going to go back toward the front door where she knows Mom is coming back through, and she patiently waits by the door for Mom. Isn't that right, Hazel? Thank you very much. She's going to go over and get in my trash for a second. She's stretching. She's trying to get awake. And I'm about to launch on Tom Brady. Again, every morning I do Undisputed. Fox Sports 1. If you have DirecTV, it's channel 219. And morning after morning after morning after morning after morning this football season, I have, for some insane reason, had to defend the honor, the football honor, of one Tom Brady. Now, I want to be clear about something, and I say this on the show often as a preface, as a prelude, as a disqualifier. Hazel's listening at my feet as we speak. She's kind of into Tom Brady. She's watched a lot of Brady games with me here of late. She loved the Jacksonville comeback. I want to make this clear before I launch. I'm not a big Patriot fan. I'm a Cowboy fan, as you know. Born and raised. I respect the Patriots. I honor the Patriots for the dynasty they have wrought. But it's mostly about that quarterback. I don't particularly like or dislike Tom Brady personally off the field. I don't know that much about him off the field. I just saw installment number 2 of his documentary, Tom versus Time. There's a little glimpse here and there of his home life, what his home actually looks like, but no real glimpses into him personally, into his, his relationship with his supermodel wife, or really his kids. I know there's some quick shots of his kids. There was another one of his son, and this one is he shot a commercial. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm talking about the quarterback. I'm talking about the performer. I'm talking about the achievements under the greatest pressure in American sports. The greatest stage is obviously our Super Bowl. Not that I don't love me some NBA, but that stage obviously is bigger than the NBA final stage. And hang on. Nope. Sorry, Hazel's into my socks. Sorry. My point is that this man is achieving things on the highest level of American sports year after year after year. And all I'm forced to do on Undisputed is to defend him, because he is discredited, he is discounted. I fight one negative after another. It's all about Belichick. Baloney, it's about Belichick. It's at least 75% quarterback. That's what the game is rigged for. I think Ernestine just came in, so Hazel just took off. So I'm going to close this door. Thank you very much. And now I can really settle into what I'm about to say. So the records he's setting on the field very possibly will never, ever be touched. He's on pace right now to deserve to have his own wing of the Hall of Fame. And I'm not exaggerating that. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. If we just look at his accomplishments and his achievements at the highest level under the greatest pressure in American sports. And yet, I hear it's about Gronkowski. 50-50 Gronkowski. Really? So a year ago, Rob Gronkowski misses the last 8 games of the year, including the Super Bowl. And help me out, what happened? Tom Brady brought the Patriots back in the Super Bowl from 28-3 down to, at that point, what everyone acknowledged was the hottest defense in pro football, Atlanta's. From 28-3 down, he threw for 246 yards just in the fourth quarter and overtime. 246 yards? Just think about that. Year after year, draft after draft, this league is in search of quarterbacks. They're a handful. They're 4 or 5. They're really only 2 or 3. But every year now is it Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen? Or maybe it's Baker Mayfield, a little 6'1¼ overachieving walk-on quarterback from Texas Tech and then via Oklahoma. Really? So he could be the number 1 pick in the draft. Now, I love Baker Mayfield, and I'm an Oklahoma fan. I watched every snap he took at the University of Oklahoma. But we're saying he could be the first pick in this draft. He could be potentially the savior of the Cleveland Browns. Tom Brady is 6 feet 4 inches tall, and he throws the sweetest ball I've ever seen. And you can have Aaron Rodgers, and I'm about to get to Aaron Rodgers, but on just pretty passes, if you will, there's no prettier passer that I've ever seen in football history than Tom Brady, if you just want the aesthetic value. Okay? So, let's look at the pantheon now. Let's go back to the greatest player in any sport ever, in my humble estimation, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Covered him in Chicago, got to know him, have the highest respect for Michael Jordan. Did I ever have to defend his honor? I know we go back and forth, Shannon Sharp and I do, or as I call him, Les Shannon Sharp, on Undisputed, 9:30 to noon Eastern, Fox Sports 1. We go back and forth about LeBron versus Michael Jordan, and it's just a joke to me because LeBron's disqualified. He's lost 5 finals, and it feels like he might lose a 6th this year. I'm sorry. He's a great player. He's an all-time great player, but he's not Jordan. Jordan was, until recently in my humble estimation, the greatest clutch performer ever. LeBron is the opposite of. LeBron's gifted. Obviously, he's a great passer, as good a passer as he is a scorer, as great a passer as he is a scorer, but don't underestimate what Michael could do passing the basketball if he chose to. He just didn't he was just so much more selfish than LeBron is. But when clutch time, money time came, winning time, as Magic used to say, there was nobody greater than Michael Jordan, I thought. And the more I watch Brady, it's clear to me, just because he's had so many more opportunities or been forced into so many more clutch opportunities, just in overall scope, he's a greater clutch performer than Jordan. I mean, Jordan never got to Game 7 in any of his 6 finals that he won while being MVP. So, if you look at Brady's career, it's just clutchness, rampant clutchness from the start. Every Super Bowl he's played has been relatively to very close. I mean, the only one that was just semi-close was the last Philly one against the Eagles in Jacksonville. And it got close for a minute there in the fourth quarter, thanks to a bomb from, who did Donovan hit? The little Lewis kid, his one speed receiver. But the point is, all those other ones, First one, St. Louis walk-off field goal. Second one, Carolina, virtually a walk-off field goal. And yet, I heard it all day today. Oh, did he kick the winning field goal? It's part of football. It's the rule of football. But let me ask you, can you kick a 75-yard field goal? Can you take the kickoff 1st and 10 at the 25 or in those days the 20? Can you kick an 80-yard field goal? Well, obviously you can't. So in both those games, Tom Brady had to complete, if memory serves, 4 passes against the St. Louis Rams when he was obviously a first-year starter in the Super Bowl. And they're under huge pressure with John Madden up in the booth recommending you better shut the kid down here and play for overtime. Just hand the ball off. Don't put him in a position to do something stupid. And he did something great. He completed 4 passes to set up a 49-yard walk-off field goal by Adam Vinatieri. Great. Greatest clutch kicker ever. I give you that. Then against Carolina, I think he completed 5 passes, including 1 big third down pass to set up another fairly long field goal. I think it was 4 seconds left by Adam Vinatieri. And obviously against Eli the first time, with about 2:42 left, still late in the game, Brady moved them 80 yards in, I forget what it was, 10-ish plays, and hit Randy Moss with what looked like the winning touchdown pass to put them up, the Patriots up 14-10, and it took David Tyree's luckiest play in the history of the Super Bowl, as Eli Manning acknowledged when he was on Undisputed at the Super Bowl last year in Houston. It took that to undo Brady's greatness. Well, he can't play safety, and unfortunately Rodney Harrison was at that moment playing safety, and I still don't know how he didn't get his hands on the football, but he didn't. And David Tyree came down with it after Eli Manning, who is less mobile than Tom Brady, escaped like 3 potential sacks and closed his eyes and put his hand over his eyes. I'm holding with my left hand, obviously, put his left hand over his eyes and threw it with his right hand, a pass and a prayer that was answered by David Tyree's face mask. So it took that to beat Tom Brady in that game. But again, very close game. He made the one mistake against Eli in the next Eli versus Eli Giants Super Bowl. And the mistake, quote unquote, was a slightly high and outside pass up the seam to Wes Welker. A pass that Wes Welker should have caught. But I'm trying to be objective here. By Tom Brady's standards, that was a quote unquote bad throw. It wasn't a great throw. And yet it should have been caught. And if it had been caught, we'd be having a really different conversation right now. Because back came Tom Brady against the Legion of Boom. Shannon Sharp tries to, they're all hurt. But then in the next breath he says, if you play, you're not hurt. You know, no excuse. If you walk onto the football field and say, I'm going to play this game, no excuse. And somehow, all those crippled Legion of Boom defenders in the secondary, they somehow managed to have Tom Brady down 10 points in the fourth quarter. So I don't know. I'm going to give him no excuse for that one. And I'm going to give Tom Brady the highest marks for throwing for 124 yards against that defense to come from 10 down in the fourth quarter. Against the Legion of Boom, it was impenetrable. And he pulled it off. But no, it took, according to Shannon and others on our debate panel on Undisputed, 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1, it took the luckiest play. It took the worst decision in the history of football. And, you know, why didn't you hand it to Beast Mode? Well, the reason you didn't is because Pete Carroll and his coordinator, Darrell Bevell, knew that 5 times that year they had handed it to Beast Mode from the 1-yard line, and 4 times he'd been stopped cold. So, again, were they getting a little too cute? They should have rolled Russell out and gone RPO, run pass option, because I don't think the Patriots could have stopped the rollout because I figure Russell would have run it in. But they tried a little pop pass to Ricardo Lockett, who's a big, strong receiver, was at 6'2"-ish, whatever, 210 maybe. And you know what happened? A kid who wasn't even supposed to be in the game, undrafted out of West Alabama, Malcolm Butler, made the all-time great break on the ball, and it was a good pass. It was going to hit him right in the chest. It's just a better break on the ball. So better defense beat what looked like was going to be very good offense. Is that Brady's fault? Did he benefit? Well, sure he did, but he'd just thrown the winning touchdown pass. He made throws in that game to Edelman and Amendola that were just stunning and breathtaking. So, again, back to the bigger picture point, all-time clutch against Atlanta, and then for that matter, just let me finish this off with, what about last Sunday? Was that not all-time clutch against the defense? Everybody said on eye test, it wasn't statistically the best defense, Minnesota's was, but on eye test, everybody said, this is it, Jacksonville, they have arrived. This is their coming out party. Well, it should have been, and obviously, there's no Gronkowski. Again, he's lost late in the second quarter, and what happened? There's not even an Edelman this time, who was the go-to receiver a year ago. There's Amendola and some of Brandon Cooks, and almost none. Maybe he did make one big play, Philip Dorsett, but he's been mostly a disappointment. And then, as Pro Football Focus pointed out, we had it on today's Undisputed, 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Chris Hogan's been a bust since he came back from injury. He's been a big disappointment. He's been sensationally missing. So you've even lost him. Martellus is gone. So both your tight ends, Dwayne Casey's been a bust as a receiver. He didn't catch anything but colds, I guess. He's a good blocker. They use him as an extra offensive lineman. Okay, so how did Brady do that against that Jacksonville or Saxonville defense 10 down in the fourth quarter? It's just stunning. It's Jordan. I don't even want to use Jordan-esque as if he's doing something. It's beyond Jordan is what it was. And he did it again. And obviously, I haven't even mentioned, he's 40 years old and he's playing as well as he's ever played. And I'm pretty sure he's going to win the MVP this year. Yet I have to defend him day after day after day on Undisputed. And I don't get it because did anybody ever knock Michael Jordan while he was playing? Did anybody try to undercut his greatness? Did anybody ever try to make a case that he was overrated or a product of Phil Jackson or a phony or a fraud? Or nope, but that's all I hear about Tom Brady. All of the above. Product of Belichick, product of Gronk. Did anybody ever say Scottie Pippen made Michael Jordan? No, but the other way happened. Trust me on that. I was there. There's no way Scottie Pippen was a top 50 player without Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So let's bring it into perspective of quarterbacks. In the end, didn't everybody embrace Peyton Manning as the greatest quarterback ever? They went on the 3-game streak and won the Super Bowl, and he rode into the sunset. Peyton Manning, what a great thrower of the football. Even with those 3 wins to cap it off in the postseason, Peyton Manning is 14-13 in the postseason. 14-13. And yet I didn't hear any negatives because he's such a great guy. He's so funny on Saturday Night Live as Peyton Manning. 14-13 in the postseason. What? For years I talked about on national TV, well, he's the greatest regular season quarterback ever. I'll give you that on all the yards he piled up in the regular season, but you can't give me any of the post because he was pretty terrible in the postseason. He had squandered high seed after high seed after high seed, especially in Indianapolis. Oh, heck, in Denver, thanks to Joe Flacco. He beat Brady. He had his moments against Brady, but in the big picture, he's 14-13 in the postseason. And then Aaron Rodgers. That's all I ever hear. Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. Really? How? Show me. He looks better than Brady? I don't even think he looks better. Is he more mobile? Yeah, I give you that. He's more mobile than Tom Brady. Is he more clutch? No. He threw a lucky Hail Mary in Detroit on a Thursday night. I'll give you that one. He beat my Cowboys with a quote-unquote clutch throw against a rookie DB who's 5 feet 10 inches tall, and he threw it to 6'2" Devontae Adams. I'll give you that. And that was after my guy, T-Will, or T-Won't, as I called him the next day, let a pass go right through his hands and right to a Green Bay DB who went right into the end zone with it in the fourth quarter. My team had them at halftime. What was it, 21-12 at halftime? No Sean Lee in the second half? No way. No hope. Game over. Way to go, Aaron. And, of course, in the playoff game, he threw the big, whatever it was, 3rd and 22 or whatever pass. I give you that against a prevent defense that allowed, who was it? What's his name? I can't even talk about this because it makes me so upset. That took a 56-yard field goal and a 51-yard field goal to beat them, but Aaron set them up, so I'm going to give you that. And he is clutch, but he's not even in Brady's stratosphere because Aaron Rodgers has won one Super Bowl. He has gotten to one Super Bowl in his career, one Super Bowl. And since that Super Bowl, he's 5-6 in the postseason. And you want to tell me he's beyond Brady? I mean, big baloney to that. I'm calling big BS on that one. That's what I'm calling. And yet, I hear he's better than Tom Brady. And there's jealousy, there's resentment, there's hate, there's just straight Brady hate. And maybe it's just my little circle of quote-unquote friends on Undisputed, but I'm getting it everywhere I go. Here, I'm in Los Angeles, California. I'm out and about occasionally. I go here, I go there, I go to this restaurant, I go to that place, I go to that golf course, whatever I'm doing. I've run into a whole lot of people in the last, what are we up to, Monday, week, in the last week. And all I hear is, Eagles going to do it. Eagles going to do it. And I always say, you know that other team has that number 12 guy? Eagles going to do it. Sick of Tom Brady. Sick of him. So there's no embracing of the greatness. Like Michael Jordan struck nothing but awe in everybody. Nothing but awe. It's like, wow, he is the greatest. But with Tom Brady, I don't get it. Everybody's saying, he's got the supermodel wife. Who cares? Does that mean he's a bad guy? I don't know. I don't care. Oh, he eats avocado ice cream. He wears Ugg boots. Ugg boots are for girls. That's all I hear. Okay, but there's no embracing of the fact with the avocado ice cream. He's changed everything. He's shattering the mold. There's no embracing of this. There's no glorifying of this. My God, if LeBron James were a football player doing this right now, we would never hear the end of it. Undisputed would be wall to wall. 2.5 hours of LeBron James is the greatest ever. And the next topic would be LeBron James, greatest ever? Yes, yes, yes. It would be idolatry infinitely. You want to talk about blind witnesses? The blind witnesses would take over the world because they would actually have something to stake real claims on, authentic claims. Tom Brady at 40 is playing at a much higher level than LeBron James is at 33 in his 15th year. What's Tom at the end of his 18th year? And he's doing it because he figured out how to hold off and stiff arm Father Time. And these documentaries, I just watched the second one, he's just laying it on the line. He's sort of daring the opponent. Anybody else, I would have criticized this, that you would release these things the week before the Super Bowl, but you'd already planned to. So again, it could have been after Jacksonville lost, but I think he's that confident. He said, no, let's go with it. He's laying it on the line for you. He's opening up heart and soul just to show you how he's doing it. What drives him? What is this? It's pliability. He and his trainer, Alex Guerrero, and again, I'm not trying to defend Alex Guerrero. All I know is Tom Brady believes heart and soul in that guy. Okay, good for him. And that guy has taught Tom it's about flexibility, pliability. He now brags, Brady does. He has no more bicep left. It's because it's elongated, and he says that the elongated muscles don't contract so quickly upon impact. And when they contract and tighten and bulge, they tear, they rip, joints go. Now he can relax into the impact and just sort of let his body flow with it. At least that's what he says. And I know that could sound way out there. I got to knock on wood behind me here for his sake because I hate to even talk about injuries because it is a violent game. But he's doing pretty well. I don't even care that he played the Jacksonville game with 12 stitches in the palm, like at the base of his thumb on his right and throwing hand. I don't care. He pulled it off. Was he trying to, like Shannon Sharp was trying to make the case, He's faking it. And then he got 12 stitches in the hand. I said, well, did he go in and cut himself just to make it look good? It was a real thing. It's his throwing hand. It's his grip pressure. It's the ability to be as accurate and deadly a passer as I've ever seen, especially under pressure. It's all about grip control. If it comes out 1/100th of an inch off, then it's going to be 3 feet off when it gets 30 yards downfield to the intended target. And he pulled it off against Jacksonville with 12 stitches in his hand. No big deal. I didn't even bring it up the next day on Monday on Undisputed, but Shannon Sharp did, because it's just eating at him. And now we get to his persona, our man Rob Parker on Undisputed, again, 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. He just doesn't like him. Rob's owned barbershops in Detroit, and he says the barbershops don't like him. And I get it. He's aw shucks, he's gee whiz, he's too good to be true, supermodel wife, perfect kids. I have no idea. Is he a great father and husband? I have no idea. We saw glimpses of his kid, just glimpses of his kids, especially in the first doc, the first installment. And yet there's even Brady hate inside Patriot Nation. Mostly I'm talking about outside of Patriot Nation, but you've probably by now heard about the incident that occurred on WEEI in Boston. And I don't know the exact details of this, so forgive me if I get it a little bit wrong, but there's a young commentator, mid-20s, who pops around onto various shows. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have his own show on EEI, but this is the Patriots radio partner, and they just signed a new long-term deal. And Brady does a weekly session on another show in the morning. Forgive me because I don't listen to EEI, so I don't even know. Is it Kirk and Callahan or whatever it is, something Callahan. But anyway, he's been on there for a long time, and he's really good on that show. And as he said today, I've really tried to be good for you guys. But the other commentator, who's occasionally on the morning show, was on another show at the end of last week. And I guess there's some Brady hate or jealousy or envy or resentment within Patriot Nation. I don't know what this young man's background is, but he took a shot at Brady's daughter, 5-year-old daughter. I believe the quote was, she comes across as an annoying little pissant. What? I watched it. I couldn't even see her. I could hear her yelling about something like kids do, especially 5-year-old kids do. And there was some thought that this was staged. That wasn't staged. I mean, it was staged within his house that they were going to shoot him, and he knew it, and I'm sure he was dressed for the occasion. I'm sure Giselle knew it, and she was ready to say and do the right things on camera. There are cameras in her house, for God's sake. But the kids are just being kids, so that part wasn't staged. But that's just Brady hate to me. And so he got suspended for the week, and then Brady, who's got a big heart, and there's this guy inside him I call Psycho Tom, and Psycho Tom will come out, especially if you take a shot at one of his children, especially his 5-year-old daughter. And he wasn't going to stand for that, so very nicely he said today, in effect, I've tried to be good to you guys, but I'm going to have to reconsider whether I want to continue this relationship with this show or with this, certainly with that radio station. And he fairly politely said, later, guys, and cut the call off quickly, the interview off quickly. Okay, but it shows you, who would ever say that about Michael Jordan's kids? I don't know. It's just so out there. It's just, there's something, now back to the barbershops of Rob Parker, it just rubs people the wrong way. He's too good to be true. It's too much, aw shucks, gee whiz. It comes across as fake. It comes across as phony. Yet it comes across to me that the guy's got incredible guts and courage to just be himself. So he likes Ugg boots. My wife Ernestine likes Ugg boots. She's given me Ugg boots for Christmas. A lot of people think Ugg boots are just for like teenage girls. Yet when they were first introduced in this country, they were worn by surfer dudes, tough guys, who surfed right here in Southern California, where in the mornings it can get pretty chilly. Brady's like, I don't care. And yet, I love it that we've seen glimpses of Brady in the 2 documentary installments, Tom versus Time on Facebook. And you get to see Psycho Tom just fly out every once in a while, that competitor. Has there ever been a greater competitor? He just doesn't show it the way Russell Westbrook does. I've never seen anything like Russell Westbrook. I know he's 1,000 miles an hour trying to rip your throat out every dribble of every game. Doesn't matter who they're playing. Sacramento, the Sixers last night, Detroit the night before. It just doesn't matter. He's just trying to rip your throat out. But it's visceral. You can just see his body language. You see it in Brady occasionally, but he's playing a position that is more done up here than with your physical ability. Obviously, everybody remembers the embarrassingly bad 40-yard dash that he ran at the Combine. And yet, athletically, moving in the pocket, ballet sort of feet in the pocket, I got to tell you, it's beautiful to watch. I know a little bit about playing quarterback because I've covered pro football for so long and I've talked to so many people through the years. I came up under Coach Don Shula. I went to L.A., covered the Rams, Chuck Knox, Tom Landry in Dallas. Got to know the late, great Bill Walsh with the 49ers, who was the ultimate quarterback maker and teacher. So I know a thing or two about playing quarterback. And Brady he's Baryshnikov in the pocket. Trust me on that. Pocket feet. On that 3rd and 18, he converted against Jacksonville to Danny Amendola. Against a cover 2 right over the middle, we just dropped it right in front of the safeties to little Danny, undrafted out of Texas Tech, who ran a 7.40 at the Combine. The ability to shift nicely left, it's ballroom dancing, just beautifully shifted to the left as Danny came open, planted perfect footwork, and delivered a strike right down the middle of the field as he avoided the rush to his right and threw back across to Danny Amendola. It's just a beautiful play. It's textbook. It's how you would teach any young quarterback, but he's not going to get any credit for it. He gets no credit. It's all about Belichick. Well, Belichick's defense shut down Blake Bortles. They finally shut down Blake Bortles, which they should have done from the start, but they did not. But they finally zeroed in, and Belichick's a great coach of defense. So it's a good combination, but it's a quarterback's game, and if he didn't have Brady to cover for him, he can get away with anyone he wants on defense, just whatever. He can ship Chandler Jones out. Jamie Collins, you're gone to Cleveland. He can get away with it because he knows he has number 12. And if they get in dire straits, if they get locked in a seesaw battle in the fourth quarter, or if they're down 10, 16 to Atlanta, 10 to Jacksonville, 10 to Seattle in the Super Bowl, he's going to pull it out because he's the greatest clutch player in NFL history, and I think he's becoming the greatest clutch player just on multiple opportunities in the history of pro sports. But nobody cares. It's about Belichick. It's about Gronk. No, it's not about Gronk. So we debated today on Undisputed a ranking from Pro Football Focus done by scouts, NFL scouts, ex-NFL scouts, in which they evaluated all 106 players in this Super Bowl. 106, top to bottom, all the way down to the long snapper of the New England Patriots, who, by the way, the scouts say is a liability. Also, the punter is a little bit of a liability because he was ranked, 104, so it was 106, then 104 was the punter, and then 99 was Gostkowski, the place kicker, who's been in and out of slumps. So Belichick's kicking game, it looks like a negative. It looks like it's flawed, but they're here because Tom Brady's the MVP. That's why they're here. They beat Jacksonville because Tom Brady at 40 is still the best quarterback by far in pro football. And yet, let's look at this 106 player list. Top 20. 14 are Eagles. So there are a lot of people out there, you can even call them in Vegas as they do sharps, who really know the score, who are already betting on the Eagles. I believe a lot of that money is sharp money already, trying to get it at the higher point spread. Opened at 5.5. Now it's been bet down. I haven't looked in the last couple hours, but it was bet down as of noontime Pacific time, 3 obviously in the East, it bet down to 4.5. And I got a feeling it's going to go lower than 4.5. It might end at 3.5 the way it's going, because Philly is really good. So 14 of the top 20 players are Eagles. Wow, interesting. Moreover, 10 of those 14 are on the Eagle defense. So Tom Brady's got to go up against a defense that has 10 of the top 20 overall rated players in the Super Bowl. Wow. And a bunch of them are in that defensive line, and it can bring thunder from all directions. And Fletcher Cox is the best defensive player on the field. It's not even close. And Chris Long, who obviously made one big play last year for the Patriots in the Super Bowl by forcing a holding call, a crucial late holding call, is no longer on the Patriots. He's on the Eagles, and he's been wreaking havoc off one end. And there's some bad men on that defense. Whew. They come from everywhere. The linebackers, I don't have time to go through and list them all. The secondary, Ronald Darby at corner, Malcolm Jenkins at safety. I can just go on and on. Kendricks, Bradham, they're everywhere. It is really a top-notch defense that has gotten better by the week over the last month or so. And at the top of the rankings, Tom Brady number 1 and Gronkowski number 2. And yet, I promise you, I took a lot of crap for that today on Undisputed, 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. But I promise you this is true. I can show you statistically. Tom Brady is actually even a little bit better without Gronkowski. It disturbs me after a while, rooting for Brady, that with 87 on the field, he too often forces the ball to 87 in double coverage. It's the trap that Dak Prescott fell into with Dez Bryant last year. Oh, Dez is single covered? 88, he's single covered. I got to throw it to him. And he led the league in drop passes, did Dez Bryant. And he's lost a little quickness and quite a bit of speed and virtually all of his confidence. But the read tells me he's single covered, often not even by the best corner. I got to throw it to 88. So targets were the same as they were in 2014 when he was a dynamo, and that was a catch at Green Bay. But the production was dramatically down from 2014. It was like 16 touchdown passes in 2014 to 6 this year. So it's what's going on. So when Brady starts to force to 87, I don't love it. Even the pass on which Gronkowski was concussed by former Cowboy Barry Church, he got fined for it. He should have, but again, at least he didn't go low at his knees because Gronk is so vulnerable there. But the point is, even that pass was into double coverage, and he was a sitting duck. And he went up and snatched it, but you could just see what was about to happen. He was about to get blown up, and he did get blown up. So I don't even love that one. I love it when Brady starts to spread the ball to various little receivers all around him and coming out of the backfield. James White, Deion Lewis. And yet, of those top 20 players ranked by Pro Football Focus, how many are Brady's protectors? How many from Brady's offensive line? 0. How many from the Eagles' offensive line? 3, starting with the third-ranked player overall, Jason Kelce, the center of the Eagles, the driving force of their run game, which is much better than Tom Brady's run game. So I understand the money being bet, the avalanche being bet, the green avalanche being bet on the underdog Eagles. And they've got the underdog mentality, and I got that. I appreciate that. By the way, the one huge issue I had with this list was it ranked Nick Foles all the way down at 53. That's just laughable, and that's bad. But they're looking at body of work. And even this year, there were those couple of games when he really struggled. And their point was he has the greatest variance of any quarterback in the league because he can be very good and play poorly all in the same game, same flow. Yet, this is a guy, Nick Foles, in his career, he's 66 touchdown passes to 29 interceptions. What's not to like about that? In his career, he's now played 3 playoff games and Guess what, boys and girls? He's completed 75% of his passes, which is outrageous. It's all time. It's the best of all time, given the small, given a minimum, if you do it, minimum of X complete or attempts. It doesn't really qualify big time all time, but still, Nick Foles is pretty good. 6 feet 6 inches tall, came out of a throwing high school, throwing tradition, Austin Westlake, which had produced Drew Brees. He was a hot national recruit, went up to Michigan State for a little while and came back. He originally had signed with Arizona State and then went to Arizona. And he threw for 4,000 yards his last year at Arizona. He's really good. Is he mobile? No, but he did get recruited to play basketball by the University of Texas and Baylor his senior year at Austin Westlake. So he's got some athletic ability and he can wing it. And for Eagle fans, I got to believe he was a revelation against the number 1 ranked defense in Minnesota, number 1 statistical defense. He just shredded it. And his receivers are better than Brady's receivers. They just are. I'll take Alshon. I'll take Aguilar. I'll take even Torrey Smith. He's down the list of the Pro Football Focus. But Zach Ertz was all the way down at 24. He belonged in the top 20 because Zach Ertz is just difficult to deal with. He's not quite Gronk, but he's very effective and has a wavelength with Nick Foles. So he's going to be a handful. I'm making the case this is not going to be easy for the Patriots, and it won't be easy for Tom Brady, and very possibly it'll be another close game that will go to the wire. And I'm not going to bet against number 12. So what's not to love about that? Why don't we idolize? Why don't we glorify Tom Brady? I don't know. Jealousy, sick and tiredness? I don't get it. I'm being completely objective. I don't like him. I don't have a poster on my wall of Tom Brady. We make jokes on Undisputed. Ernestine, I think it was for my birthday a year ago, she knew I talked about Brady a lot on air, so she was in one of the department stores and saw this new Under Armour recovery. It's like pajamas, I guess they're supposed to be, but I just got the top. It's a long sleeve top that you're supposed to sleep in it. It helps you recover. I don't know. So I tried it a couple times. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but that's the closest thing I have to anything Tom Brady in this house. And yet, everybody wants to pick him to pieces. Everybody wants him to go away. Nobody wants to put on pedestal, and yet, let me grab my notes here. Just a couple of quick thoughts, if you missed Undisputed today about this. Just a couple of quick thoughts. Tom Brady now has 27 postseason wins. Second on the all-time list is Joe Montana with 16. 27 to 16. Think about that. That's pretty good. Passing yards, postseason passing yards. Tom Brady is ahead of the second place Peyton Manning by 2,382 yards. That's how much he's ahead of second place Peyton Manning. Man. Completions. Second place is Peyton Manning. Tom Brady has 243 more postseason completions than Peyton Manning. Like I said earlier, these are the kind of numbers that should qualify you to have your own wing of the Hall of Fame. I can go game-winning drives. I can go fourth quarter comebacks. He's way ahead of John Elway and Joe Montana in those categories. Not way ahead on the fourth quarter comebacks. He has 8. Joe Montana has 5, but he's still 3 ahead. And obviously the most Super Bowls ever won by a quarterback, 5 by Tom Brady, and the most Super Bowl MVPs, 4 by Tom Brady. And yet all I hear is people trying to discount what he does, trying to discredit what he has done. And I just don't, it just baffles me, and it's starting to wear me out, because there's something with Tom Brady where he's just not, as I call him, he's the assassin in sheep's clothing. Do I love the aw shucks gee whiz great dad who posts lame pictures on Instagram and Facebook? No, I don't love that. Is that the way people want to see their tough guy franchise quarterback? Probably not. I will give you that. But I have appreciated the fact that we have gotten to see that psycho Tom guy come out a little bit in the first 2 installments of Tom versus Time. I loved in the first installment, and I'm not going to say the words that he uttered, but I'm going to paraphrase, but he was just sort of standing out in the backyard talking to the camera about most quarterbacks get to age 39 and they try to throw the football and it's like, ugh. And here he's 40 and he said, I can fire that. I'll just say MF. How about that? That was Tom Brady. Great dad. Sort of the nerdy guy down the street, nerdy father. He used that word. Interesting. Then today's installment that I just watched, he's talking to my friend Tom House, who's the throwing guru who works out of USC. He's worked with lots of quarterbacks, lots of baseball pitchers, throwing mechanics. He is genius at. And he was working with Tom Brady in the offseason, and they're talking about age. And I forget, Tom is about, what is he? He's probably in his 70s now. He's had a rough life. As he used to say, when he pitched for the Atlanta Braves, he was the one who caught Hank Aaron's home run ball in the Atlanta bullpen that day, the Ruth record breaker. And as Tom used to say, better bodies through chemistry. In his day, they used a lot of different things to do a lot of different things, trying to throw, stay up for throwing the baseball. And he knew all about the steroid movement. But whatever, he's put his body through a lot. And as Tom House said, I should be dead. And Tom Brady was talking about age and said, I don't give an F about that, about age. And he just blurted out that F word. And I think he curses a lot. Does that help you? Does that make you like him more? Does that give him a little more street edge? I don't know. Maybe, because I think that's the real guy. Then he gets in front of the media cameras. Oh, I don't know. Gee, I don't know. Hey, we got to play harder. We got to work harder. And then you watch him sitting in front of his computer watching tape. And as he said in the second installment, he will watch tape for 4 or 5 hours at a time. That it's actually peaceful for him. I can't remember the exact word he used. I'll look at my notes here and get it. Hang on just one second. I think I wrote this down. What did he call it? It's soothing. He said it's soothing to him to watch 5 hours of tape, and you could just see him running it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. He's grinding on the tape. As he said, the more information he has on a game, the better he plays. Well, a lot of quarterbacks just system overload. You've got to simplify it. You've got to dumb it down just a little bit to allow their brain to focus and function under fire. It's hard, man. There's a million things. There are 11 guys going different directions on the defense, and you got 4 or 5 of your guys running different routes all at once. You got to read it. 1, 2, 3. You got to see it. You got to see it before it happens. He's watching film looking for tells, as he said, like poker tells, card playing tells, where he's watching body language. Who's blitzing, who's not. Who's doubling, who's not. And he's searching for tells. Well, don't you appreciate this? I do. He's just shattering the mold. No one's ever done this before. Nobody's ever done it at this level, and he's on fire for it. What does Shannon Sharp tell me on Undisputed? Again, 9:30 noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. What does he tell me all the time? I burned out on football, and he's jealous in a way of Tom Brady because Tom's on fire at age 40 for a game that Shannon misses. Was his body breaking down Shannon's? Yes, it was. Did he know how to heal his body or save his body the way Brady? Nope, he did not. Did a lot of good things, and obviously he played a higher collision position than Brady does. But listen, Miles Jack blitzed the other day and just jacked up Tom Brady. That was a shot. What's Miles Jack go? I don't know, 240? Runs like 4.5. And he, on a dead run, he rocked Tom Brady. And Brady bounced right back up. Was he sore the next morning? I'm pretty sure he was pretty sore. Did he avoid calamity? Career-threatening injury? Yes, he did. So, again, Shannon Sharp says, I just burned out on the meetings. I burned out on the film watching. I just got tired of it. Tom Brady's on fire with it. It shows him grabbing his phone, even car phone, when he's in the car, calling Josh McDaniels his coordinator. What about this? What about this? And he's seeing some play in a Cincinnati preseason game that he's just fixated on. And what about that? He checks in with Josh McDaniels. What can we do that? Can we use that and rename it this and that? And they got all this jargon going on. And they're on fire with this stuff. Why don't we embrace that? Why isn't Brady seen as great? Why isn't he doing great things? I don't know. I don't know. I give you the numbers. I got a sheet. I don't have it right here, but I got a sheet of Brady achievements that Tyler Korn, guy who helps me, my producer, researcher, in the morning. And he compiled the sheet, and I had to try to dumb it down so I could use bits and pieces of it on the air and here on Facebook Live. But it was a small print, single-spaced, dense sheet of achievements by Tom Brady. I mean, he's played in what? Like Aaron Rodgers played in 3 NFC Championship games. Brady's played in 12 AFC Championship games and 7 straight. My God. Do you hear that? Do you hear him lauded and applauded for that? I don't. It's like everybody wants him to go away, yet this game is going to do, I assume, big TV numbers because Patriot Nation will be rooting for Tom Brady and the rest of America will be rooting against him. I don't know how that happened. Help me out here. Let me know. I don't know. I'm a little bit haunted by this. I'm tormented by it. And the more I beat my fist on the table in our Fox Sports 1 studio, Undisputed, the more this debater across from me and that debater and Shannon Sharp and that debater, they just fire back. Yeah, but Vinatieri saved him with those 2 field goals in the first 2 Super Bowls. It's part of the game. Yeah, he made the kicks. Obviously, if he had missed the kicks, that would have undercut or nullified what Tom Brady had pulled off. He put them in position with clutch passes as a fairly young quarterback. And he said in today's installment of the documentary, he's embarrassed watching what he did in the first Super Bowl because he can't even recognize himself. And he said, I knew nothing compared to what he knows now. I knew nothing. He can't even figure out how he pulled it off. You're kind of just going on instincts. You're trying to process, you're trying to see it. As Tom Landry used to say, your first year of starting, especially at quarterback in the National Football League, is one long blur. And that's what Tom Brady said. That whole year's a blur. He can barely remember it. Now, he beats you with his head more than his body. He still throws a sweet ball, an extremely catchable ball. But the final point is, he's throwing to whom? So let me see if I can find my other notes here. Hang on one second, and then I'll close this up. Oh, here's that sheet. Here's the sheet, if you can see it, from my researcher about Brady's achievements. See this? It's just like, it's unbelievable. Well, I'm not sure I made it home with it, but here's the point. Pro Football Focus, I don't have it in front of me, but you have to go down to number 32 to find the first Patriot receiver, Danny Amendola, of the 106 players ranked. Not bad, but not great. He's the 32nd ranked player, and he's become the go-to guy. Again, Gronk looks like he'll be back and play out of concussion protocol. But then you have to go down to like 38 for Brandon Cooks, and you have to go down to 50 ranked for James White. Can't run the ball much, but can catch the little swing passes, and was obviously crucial to the comeback against the Atlanta Falcons last year, fourth quarter and overtime, scored the winning touchdown. And then you have to keep on going down to, I believe, if memory serves, 76 for Philip Dorsett. It's been kind of a disappointment. And here's the capper, ladies and gentlemen. You have to go down to 89, number 89 of ranking all the 106 players in this year's Super Bowl, to find one Chris Hogan, who used to be something of a go-to receiver for Tom Brady. The scout's point was, since returning from injury, that I don't remember their phrase, but he's been shockingly missing. That's the point. And he has. He hasn't been remotely himself since coming back from injury because he's probably still injured. I believe it was his shoulder. He's a shell of himself. So there's no Edelman. There's no Martellus from last year. Again, Dwayne Allen, he just doesn't catch the football. Can block a little bit. There are no offensive linemen from the Patriots in the top 20. I don't know how he does this. I don't know how he does this. And if I'm a gambler or just a bettor, as they say in England, a punter, Patriots need a punter, it looks like, according to this list. But I'm looking at this breakdown, and I'm looking at this game, and I'm saying the Eagles are just a better overall football team than the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots have Belichick, but mostly they just have a 40-year-old quarterback. That's it. That's what makes it all go. And I believe it'll make it go this coming Sunday. Will it be close? I'm pretty sure it'll be real close. Will Tom Brady pull it out in the end? Boy, I'd bet on that. I'd bet a good chunk of money on that. History would tell you he will pull it out. And history will also tell you if he does pull it out, everybody will shrug and say, next, on to basketball. Enough of this. On to the combine. Let's go look at Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold versus Josh Rosen versus Josh Allen. Let's go look at those, because that's way more interesting than this boring Tom Brady. We're sick and tired of Tom Brady. If he pulls off this Super Bowl against that football team, and it's a well-coached football team. Jim Schwartz he's no pushover. He's wide nine. They play with an edge, Philly's defense. It'll be a hellacious challenge, as Tom Brady said, and he wasn't laying it on thick. This will be their toughest game of the year. It just will be. I mean, that's a duh. That's a given. And yet, if he pulls it off, everybody will sit back and say, Belichick. He had Gronk back. He's had all these decent defenses. Show me one defense, please. Shannon Sharp keeps saying, do you realize how many times he had a top 5 defense? Did he have the 85 Bears defense? Did he have the 2000 Ravens defense? Did he have the 2002 Tampa Bay defense led by my friend Derek Brooks? Did he have any of those defenses? No. So he had any all-time great defense to carry him. The closest he had really was the first year. That was a good defense. Underrated going to the Super Bowl. I was wrong about that one. I thought the Rams would throw a party on the greatest show on turf. It was on turf at the Superdome, and I thought they would put on a super show. U2 put on a super show at halftime. I was there. But obviously, Belichick had a great plan. Eric Mangini helped with that plan. Often seen on Undisputed, 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And they pulled it off. We had Ty Law on the other day. They got physical with the Rams receivers who did not like physicality. And boy, Ty Law was about as physical a cornerback as I ever saw this side of maybe Mel Blount, the Steelers. And they did a number on them, and they made them work. And then I was watching the NFL films inside that Super Bowl the other day on Saturday when I was on the treadmill. Had nothing to watch, so I kept watching Super Bowl highlight shows. And I'd forgotten this, but Kurt Warner had a really bum thumb that day. And he kept trying to flex it, and it was sprained, and he was having a hard time gripping the ball. But whatever, they pulled it off, and in the end, the quarterback pulled it off. That 6th-round draft pick from nowhere, from Michigan, who couldn't even win the job at Michigan. Nobody wanted, including Bill Belichick, for the first 5 rounds, and he pulled it off. And I didn't see it coming because I was a big Joe Montana fan, and I could not imagine Tom Brady ever eclipsing Joe Montana, his hometown hero from that San Mateo area of the peninsula there south of San Francisco. And he did it. He eclipsed him. Before the game last year, everybody admitted, he's eclipsed Montana. He's the greatest quarterback ever. And then he did that. And then he had an MVP season at 40. And then he beat Jacksonville. I don't know what more do you want? I know I'm preaching to the choir for some of the Patriot fans, but what more do you want, you Brady haters? What more? Help me out here, because I don't know. I just try to be objective. I try to sit back and truth tell on Undisputed, again, 9:30 to noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And I am telling you the truth. This guy is all-time great. Someday, somebody will make the case he deserves his own wing of the Hall of Fame, especially if he wins this one. Do I see any end in sight? Unless Belichick wants to walk away. And if he did, because Bob Kraft ruled in favor of Tom Brady over Belichick, who clearly wanted to keep Jimmy Garoppolo and go forward with Jimmy G next year and let Tom Brady walk into the sunset, maybe back to the 49ers or wherever he would want to go to finish his career. he lost. He lost that power struggle battle to Tom Brady, and ultimately Robert Kraft sided with his quote-unquote son, Tom Brady. Are we still back to Deflategate? Again, I defended Brady because I know a lot of people who know him well, and everybody told me that Tom Brady would tell them privately. There was never any, we kind of messed with there's none of that. He was adamant that he told his equipment people, I just want the balls deflated to the lower end of regulation. And he was so angry about it, he fought it in court, as you remember, and won the first round in Judge Berman's court in Manhattan, and went to the appeals court, and finally he lost 2-1 there. And they were thinking Supreme Court because he just believed that the league had attempted to sacrifice his legacy and reputation at age 38 to punish the Patriots for their history of cheating. Do I think Bill Belichick's cheated? Well, I know he did once because he got busted for it in Spygate, and then both the St. Louis Rams and Carolina Panthers publicly accused the Belichick staff of spying on their walkthroughs the Saturdays before those Super Bowls. So, yeah, do I think he's cheated, which is way beneath the dignity of an all-time great coach? Yep, I do. Do I think Brady cheats? I do not. And by the way, that night that he got accused by the Indianapolis Colts at halftime, and the balls were examined at halftime, and whatever happened, whatever, they were inflated properly. Go look at his second half numbers against the Patriots that night, the Indianapolis Colts that night. He torched them in the cold. Go look at his numbers in the fourth quarter against the Legion of Boom in the ensuing Super Bowl 2 weeks later. Torched with legally inflated footballs. So did he gain any advantage if, in fact, he cheated? He didn't cheat. But even if they were under legal inflation, so you got him back to the high end of regulation, of inflation, and he's still throwing parties. I don't get it. What's not to love about him? I don't know. I'm sorry. I've gotten it out of my system. Now I'm going to try to get it out of LaShannon Sharp's system, Rob Parker's system. Who else? Not sure who's coming back tomorrow. We got Todd Gurley on tomorrow. Well, he's probably a Brady hater. I'm just guessing. They all are. We got a cavalcade of guests. Patrick Peterson coming on. Keenan Allen's coming on. Jason Witten's coming on pretty soon in the next couple of days. Shannon Sharp says he can outrun him, which is laughable. As Shannon approaches age 50, he says he could outrun Jason Witten right now, and I will give him this. Jason Witten doesn't have a lot of breakaway speed, as in run-after-catch speed, and he was the only option left this year for Dak Prescott. He had no single receiver except for Bryce Butler who could run away from people, and they wouldn't play Bryce Butler over Dez Bryant for financial reasons. Big contract, gets on the field, utilize. Son of Jerry Jones gets on the field, quote unquote, I put quotes around the son of, as in Dez Bryant. But all that, for the moment, is irrelevant. All that matters right now is number 12 of the New England Patriots. Greatest clutch player I've ever seen in any sport. And yet, most people say he's overrated. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, tomorrow on Undisputed. Again, you can catch us 9:30 to noon Eastern Time. It's about a mile from here, right down Avenue of the Stars. I'll be up at 2 a.m. Pacific Time. I will be watching a loop of the late highlight shows. I'll be reading. I'll be showering. I'll be jumping in my car. I'll be roaring down Avenue of the Stars a little before 4 o'clock for our meeting that starts at 4 o'clock, in which we throw together the show, and then I cram as if for a college final in the hour and something I have left, maybe hour 20 I have left. Get a little makeup. I put my own makeup on. I don't like a lot of makeup. I use a little powder here and there. No big deal. And then we kick off at 6:30 this time, 9:30 Eastern. I will be ready for Shannon Sharp. I will see you then. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much, all of you that I can see now, for responding. Good night, Facebook.